Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Race 2 about to get underway at a very rain-soaked Paul Ricard. The circuit stretches 5.822 kilometres in length, 30 minutes plus 1 lap of action to take you through to close out the Paul Ricard weekend here at Le Castellet. Quite a dramatic twist from yesterday. The temperatures have shifted. 18 degrees in the air, track temperatures sitting at 20, far apart from where we were yesterday, with humidity now up to 79%, as opposed to around the 50 to 60% that we had in yesterday's affair. But let's take you through the starting grid on pole once again, back-to-back. Rafael Camara, race winner yesterday, shares the front row with Michael Belov and Trident. Brando Bador third, Tuka Tappenden fourth, Alessandro Giusti in fifth, Ugo Gachukwu starting from sixth. Further down then, Kanato Lay for G4 Racing in 7th. Dorian Pin with one of her best qualifying performances of the season in 8th. Enzo Peugeot in 9th. Nikhil Bora in 10th. Zachary David in 11th place. In 12th goes Enzo Dellini. Ivan Dominguez 13th. Teofil Nal in 14th. Noah Stromstead 15th. Lena Bula in 16th place. Edgar Pierre 17th. Matteo De Parlo in 18th place. Further down, we then have Evan Gilter lining up in 19th with Giovanni Maschio 20th, Pedro Cliro 21st, Marta Garcia 22nd, Yaroslav Basalaho 23rd, James Wharton lines up in 24th. 25th for Hwang Dat Sauer, then Valerio Rinicella 26th, Nico Lacorte in 27th, Nandavid Biram Bhakti 28th, Varu Cho 29th, Yu Zhigao in 30th place for Kick Motorsport. Isaac Barashi, Roman Andriolo and Ruiki Liu round off the back markers here for this race 2 venture. Well, as the rain continues to fall, we do have some housekeeping to take you through. Pedro Cliro was penalised after an incident involving James Wharton in our qualifying session earlier on today. Now, it's been deemed that the stewards believe car 22, that's Pedro Cliro, made contact with car 13 of James Wharton at turn 1 entry, which is in breach of 14.1, Article 14.1 of the FRECA sporting regulations. So a drop of 3 places on the starting grid for the next race has been contested by the driver. So that is the current set of affairs. And an update to bring you, starting behind the safety car, no questions as to why wet tyres mandatory with rain lights on alike, given the fact that the track is very much rain-soaked, in direct contrast to what we had in yesterday's outing. But the one thing that has remained the same is the front row. Rafael Camara, the Brazilian, on top with a bid to try and reclaim, of course, the form that we saw at the very start of the season, where he would win at Hockenheimring, followed it up with another podium with a second place, though this time looking to go back-to-back like he did at Spa-Francorchamps in race 1 and race 2. But let's wait and see. Still a number of rounds to go after this one. We've got Imola coming up, Red Bull Ring, Barcelona and Monza. But off the line, they will go under safety car conditions. And they'll head down towards turn 1, trying to get as much heat as they can into the tyres. 29, as I said, and 40 to run, plus 1 lap, not forgetting. And the Alpine safety car will take us through the initial sector. Further down, Tuka Tappenden, not the ideal performance from his own mind's eye, because I would have thought he would have liked to have been further up and contesting with Rafael Camara, but it wasn't to be for the Finn, who sits on the second row, breaks away in 4th place just behind Brando Bador, who yesterday finished in 3rd, continuing a 6th consecutive podium rate, which was sensational after finishing 2nd in 5 consecutive races, from Zandvoort in race 2 all the way to Mugello race 2. Maybe looking and thinking about finishing on the podium yet again. If it stays like this, then it will be 7 consecutive podiums. Alessandro Giusti, who won here last year, first ever Formula Regional European Championship race win for Giusti, Williams Academy driver, French F4 champion, who's ahead of Ugo Gachukwu, who had a little bit of a spin heading through the latter point on the lap in the opening stages of the qualifying session that he had with his group. And despite that, managed to get back in amongst it. It was actually challenging for pole position alike Canato Lay sat behind in 7th, and Iron Dames have plenty to celebrate with Dorian Pan, I should say, becoming the fastest rookie in her group during qualifying. But the other group being led by Canato Lay in terms of the rookie results, but credit to Dorian. Coming into this series, it's highly competitive, and she herself a phenomenal talent, taking part in the F1 Academy. Can't forget about her sterling performance back at Saudi Arabia during the Grand Prix weekend. And more to come, I'm sure, from a driver highly regarded by the Mercedes outfit, racing here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and could yet be in contest for this rookie race win alike. So big points could be on the table here for Dorian Pan. With further names further back, Nikhil Bora down in 10th place, whose brother, incidentally, was racing immensely competitively earlier on in Italian F4 this weekend. So many of the drivers who feature in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, of course, coming from the Italian F4 ranks, Rafael Camara being one of them in particular, took a tapping and a like. But many drivers stretching from all across the F4 backgrounds, and there's quite a raft of them, but it does bring some of the best drivers together to then contest here in Formula 3 style machinery. As now we see a flick of the rear from Enzo Peugeot. It's got Nikhil Bora just behind Zachary David. Enzo race. The wet tyres in full flow here for the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine cars. A necessity here as the track conditions get very slick indeed. I'm looking out my commentary box window, you can see the spray being kicked up, as well as you guys at home watching live from wherever you are in the world. Just to say, if you are tuned in, big thank you as well. My name is, of course, George Morgan, your commentator this weekend. It's been a pleasure bringing this to you alike. And we're going to be in for, I think, an almighty showdown with Michael Belov back on the podium, returning to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, this time with the Trident team. Has been involved in this series ever since 2021. Had many great moments, but I'd imagine this will feature somewhere up at the top, and more so if he was to take victory here and challenge Rafael Camara for that race win. On any other day, had the rain not hampered the opening group this morning for qualifying, it could have been Belov on pole. It was a decent 2:05 that put him to the top of the timing sheet in terms of Group B's exploits, but Rafael Camara came in at a late stage. The lap times were ever declining, the weather got better, we saw warm patches, and then all of a sudden a dry track. And the Brazilian hailed, fought his way to the front, and it came late as well for Rafael Camara. He didn't have it easy. His best lap would be his last. And he came under close contest from the likes of Brando Bador as well as Alessandro Giusti. And not forgetting Ugo Chukwu as well, who was obviously looking to try and brandish his car because he's had a very difficult ride through the course of the campaign as the Euro 4 champion of last year. But still in the top 6 and needs a great getaway as soon as the safety car comes in. Quite the scene coming through Busset. Real visualization of the spray being kicked up by these Tata chassis as they now push through the next left, coming through Garlaban very shortly. After tackling the bend door and then a trip around Delatour, which will tee up the run through towards Pont. And they will, I think, go around again. Obviously, the safety car not yet called in. Just waiting for conditions to just subside a little bit. It does look like the rain has ceased as we've known it. We've had quite a lot of it through the course of was made apparent first thing this morning, but the deluge came in thick and fast towards midday, so the drivers have had plenty to discuss, I'm sure, reviewing perhaps old data, looking at where they could improve in terms of the setup of the car as well. Obviously, it does present some challenges for these drivers to overcome, but many of them well equipped, and no less than the likes of Rafael Camara, who is currently in the midst of his third season in Formula Regional Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Third season here in this series. Of course, competed at Prema last season with the likes of Andrea Kimi, Antonelli. Now this season back with an old compatriot in Ugo Chukwu, as well, the McLaren Academy driver. There's the Iron Dames car of Dorian Pan further back, and Enzo Peugeot, Nikhil Bora lining up. There's Enzo Dellini in the familiar Red Bull colours, representing RHGP, as they look for big results here this weekend at a home race. We'll have to sit tight whether those results can come to them. Of course, they do have Tuka Tappinen up there as well, alongside obviously Dellini up at that top 12, but also all eyes on Zachary David, who is showing some reasonable pace, actually qualified higher than Dellini, 11th place. And a driver that came from Euro 4 alike, actually competing against Ugo Chukwu, who actually went ahead to win that championship, also in Italian F4, Formula Winter Series, F4 UAE, but is a multi-time Philippine karting champion. Safety car confirmed in this lap now. So this is where Rafael Camara will start thinking about his getaway. Obviously, I'm sure considerably thinking about what Michael Belov is going to be thinking of heading through the final few corners on this lap. So this is where they need to ensure they've got those tyres up to temperature. The air temp has increased slightly over the last 3 hours. We've also seen the track temperature kind of fizzle out a little bit. It's dropped from 20 down to 19.4 out there, even despite the on-track activity. But it comes down to this. Brazilian Rafael Camara obtaining his 5th win of the season yesterday. Michael Belov obtaining a first podium of the season. With Brando Bador, who probably has one of the sharpest podium records this season as well, though Camara does outweigh him. Camara with 8, Brando Bador with 6. But never, ever doubt Brando Bador. Of course, got plenty of other names looking to move up the field. Big challenges on hand for Alessandro Giusti if he wants to mimic what he did last season for ART, who I'm sure placed a lot of faith on him, and Camara has already set about going as they head through this final sector and through the final corner at Pont. And as the timer ticks below the 20th minute, 20 minutes of action to be had, plus 1 lap. We're going to hit pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Great start for Rafael Camara by the looks of it. He's broken clear of Michael Belov in behind, who's now at the mercy, by the looks of it, of Brando Bador heading through turn 1, and by the looks of it, Belov, I think, might have maintained it, or has he? Outside line there for Brando Bador, has run off wide, and I think is going to lose places as a consequence of that as well. Tuka Tappinen, Alessandro Giusti, Ugo Chukwu, they're all piling on the pressure as they head down into the next right-hander. Giusti getting the better jump of them all and moves up into 3rd, out on track, but still it's Michael Belov who is in 2nd, but in comes Giusti after Belov went extraordinarily wide. But look at this, a spin. Oh no, I think that's Brando Bador, and that will surely bring an end to the podium streak. Unfortunate there for Brando Bador, lighting up the tyres. I think there might have been a little bit of contact that would have encouraged the Van Amersfoort car to go around heading through turns 5 and 6, but never ideal. And as a consequence, Rafael Camara 2.9 to 3 seconds clear, with Giusti now up into 2nd place. A dream start for the ART driver. Dorian Pan working hard as well. Kanato Lay, 4th place. And Dorian Pan, incidentally, head of Enzo Peugeot, tracking after Ugo Chukwu right now, as the drivers now head through Scene Corner. Tuka Tappinen ahead of Ugachukwu as well. We have got plenty of drivers fighting it out further down. Nikhil Bora also looking to make places ahead of Enzo Delini. Let's take a look at the replay. This is the moment. Obviously, GST went up the inside of Belov, who took an extraordinarily wide line, and then you had Tuka Tappinen, who made contact with what looked to be Brando Bador, who then spun it. But looks like it was just a case of cars concertinaing together, but it looks like Tappinen is coming under fire in his own right, as Enzo Peugeot looks to move up a couple of places. Ugachukwu also part of this too, and Ugachukwu has actually gone ahead of Tappinen here. And I think, as a consequence, Peugeot has actually dropped to 6, and now he's under pressure again, this time from Nikhil Bora. Tappinen, and there's 2, a contact! Oh, goodness me, contact between Tappinen and the 74, belonging to Enzo Peugeot. And that's 2 cars stricken around Pond Corner. Not ideal at all. But Rafael Kamara, tell you what, unperturbed by such circumstances. He's ahead of Giusti by 1.3 as Enzo Delini goes wheel to wheel. And that's with the 89 of Ivan Dominguez, the Portuguese, who won the Resilience Award. And that is a somber scene for Tuka Tappinen. Only managed to achieve 5th place yesterday, and it's a non-scoring performance here this time around in race 2 as well. As Ivan Dominguez goes up the inside of Enzo Delini, can't quite get through. It's quite the moment coming through turns 5 and 6. Alessandro Giusti putting together the fastest lap of the race. And though I will say this, Kamara was faster than him by 2/10 in this first sector on this new lap now. So despite that gap coming down to 1.4, it could yet go out come the end of this next lap here. And therefore Kamara will earn back some of that delta as Enzo Delini has a little look down the inside here on the 47. And of course belonging to Nikhil Bora, who, as I said, who's his brother competing in the Italian F4 Championship. James Wharton also under fire as he looks to close up. Safety car, I think, has been pulled out. Yes, safety car has been deployed out on track. With the weather still quite wet, Tuka Tappinen's car still stranded at the final corner of turn 15. This was the moment to Tuka Tappinen barreling out of the race. I think the suspension might have been caught as well on his front left, and therefore meaning that that car was unable to move in that instance. But the cars are now settled down into an orderly fashion, get back to within delta, and with 15 minutes and 16 to go, Rafael Kamara leads the way, but Giusti will be pleased because this brings him back into proximity with the Brazilian. And we can confirm that the incident involving the 74 and that of the 8, of course, Tuka Tappinen and Enzo Peugeot, will be investigated after the race. So stay tuned for that one, folks. Of course, Enzo Peugeot, French F4 runner-up as of last season, losing out to Evan Gilter, the eventual winner, and competed in the Formula Regional Middle Eastern Championship earlier this season. Kamara would come 3rd in that at the very start of the campaign, but Tappinen would win that championship, becoming its champion this year after becoming runner-up in the F4 UAE Championship, coupled with that run in Italian F4 and Euro 4. But his best form coming towards the tail end of the 2023 year, and has never looked back, really. His form over the course of Hungaroring into Mugello was absolutely sensational, also winning in race 1 at Zandvoort. It just seemed that both he and Kamara were going to come together, but this is a big, big weekend for Rafael Kamara. That points gap had come down quite aggressively, just due to mere consistency at the midway point of the season on part of Tuka Tappinen. And 3 wins on the bounce, no less, was an encouraging sight as part of the, well, from the point of view of the RSGP team. But Kamara and Prema back on top here at this point with 13 and 25 to go. He's got Giusti just behind, and Kanato Lay having a a great drive so far. Up in third place. And doing a wonderful job, has to be said. Be hoping that he can carry on this form as well and hope for a big result. Of course, took part in the GB3 Championship earlier this year. But twice a runner-up in the Army Kart Championships too. So, like many great drivers that have come through into the single-seater phase, obviously starting in karts, Kanato Lay having a very prosperous start to his championship as the young Brit. And competed in Ginetta Juniors after karting with F4 UAE. As they now look to get their tyres prepared, obviously under the safety car. You can see there Kamara just weaving, getting a little bit of temperature into the compound. GST doing exactly the same. Of course, wet tyres branded on the cars, given the conditions that we have out there on track, with the rain lights in full flow, as you can see them blinking in the background. Of course, like I said before or at the top of the show anyway, we have got four more rounds to come to close out the title race. Imola being the next one. We head to the region of Emilia-Romagna with Red Bull Ring. Then after that, with Barcelona, the penultimate trip. And then we head to the Temple of Speed at Monza for what I'm sure will be a fast and furious affair, with Kamara looking to close out the title. But there's still a long way to go and a lot can happen. 25 points up for grabs for a race win. Things can change very, very quickly. Though one could say that Kamara giving himself a reasonable buffer for at least one round. As under the safety car, they continue to roam through the first sector. Noah Stromstead, good to see him back in the top 10, has had his challenges also this season. Hasn't been textbook necessarily. It's been a long time since Spa, where he finished on the podium after challenging Rafael Kamara through the final corner coming out of the bus stop chicane. But it was a marvellous effort on part of the RPM driver. I'm sure Keith Donegan appreciated that, but would have liked it better if that green car found its way onto the top step of the podium. As we can see, Tucker Tappinen's car being hauled off the track, and you can just see there the suspension bracket there looks a little limp on the left-hand side. So no doubt that being the causation of the retirement for Tucker Tappinen, and you'll hope that that's not going to be a recurring theme through the course of this championship, especially at such a frail stage where there are many contenders looking to come through. And I'm looking at the likes of Brando Bador, who equally is going to be feeling a little bit solemn with the fact that he misses out due to the contact he sustained coming through turns 5 and 6. But equal opportunity offered, though, this time for Ugo Gachukwu, who's one step away from a podium visit. Last time he was on the podium was in race 2 at Hungaroring, just in behind Tucker Tappinen and Brando Bador. Finished in the points 4 times on the bounce from Zandvoort in race 2, Hungaroring race 1, race 2 then again, and then race 1 at Mugello. And scored a solitary point yesterday to coincide with that. But a driver that we expect to see at the top, especially considering the form that he had coming in F4 machinery, as the safety car is confirmed in this lap. And Alessandro Giusti waiting patiently for Rafael Kamara to decisively make the decision to put the foot to the floor and get us back up to full pace. The rain dissipated, though. It's looking like there's a lot less spray out there, though. I might have spoken too soon as they start to kick up the pace a little bit more. Kamara here with 8 minutes and 40 to go, looking to proceed onwards. Giusti hunting him down, the former French F4 champion, Kanato Lay, also with a great chance to enlist a podium himself now as they take the turn around Pond Corner. Once again, And Rafael Camara will take them down the straight once more, and they'll put pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. And it's Rafael Camara who's out in front, but look at Giusti in second place, looking every which way, and has managed to take the lead. Alessandro Giusti with a fabulous move up the inside. Camara not content, a car off. It's Enzo Dellini, the Red Bull Junior, spinning it, coming out of turn 2. Oh, that's heartbreaking, but Giusti has the lead. The Frenchman who won the French F4 title in 2022, back again after winning his first FRECA race last season at this track. Well, it must be said, fabled ground here for Alessandro Giusti. The car, the number 10 ART, leads the way. And his teammate, Evan Gilter, trying to pressurise Enzo Dellini as well, so it's all happening out on track. But Alessandro Giusti getting a lovely launch and managed to tackle Camara heading in towards turn 1. Of course, they do have the use of the push to pass in places too. And you never know, maybe it could have been applied as now Giusti cascades through the left and right through turns 8 and turns 9. A couple of drivers overextending there. Enzo Dellini going in a bit deep, and that's going to open a door for Evan Gilter. As we see a car also breaking off as well. I think that might have been Noah Stromstead who ventured on the off track, just cutting that chicane slightly. I don't think he actually gained too much in all of that. Ugo Gachuku coming into this as he looks to battle with Kanato Lay. A solitary 10th of a second between the two as now the McLaren Academy driver goes hunting, but this is the moment, and just look at the wheel play there from Alessandro Giusti. He had to be ready and primed for that one. We just saw as well in the distance, it looked like an MP Motorsport car just drifted wide off track alike. But at this stage, it's Giusti out in front, and now Camara's got the tricky job of trying to close him down. And nothing's easy with Alessandro Giusti when he's on form. We saw that last season. It looks like we could yet see it again, as now we see Stromstead coming wheel-to-wheel with Bora, and we got wheel-to-wheel action with Dominguez and Teofil Nile as well, who's looking to go around the outside, but very wide on the exit of Pond Corner. And that's certainly going to compromise him somewhat. Enzo Dellini part of this too, but back again the two fight. As then they head down in towards turn 1, the Van Amersfoort car. Ugo Gachuku getting tight with Kanato Lake, 3 wide, near enough. Heading through turn 1, Enzo Dellini looking to advance his charge here for our race GP. Goes wheel to wheel with Tailfield Nile. Fantastic run there from Enzo Dellini, trying to recover the places that he lost. Here comes the McLaren Junior of Ugo Gachuku into the podium positions once again. And Ugo Gachuku, like we said, difficult season this year, adapting to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, but has suddenly sprung to life here at Paul Ricard and now sits in 3rd place. Absolutely mesmeric there from Ugo Gachuku. Kanato Lee down to 4th, but of course we've got Noah Stromstead, a few cars running wide on the escape out of turn 7, and by the looks of it, Ivan Dominguez, the driver at the offending driver there, but Giusti 4 places up from where he started. The rain weather causing a stir, as now we see again Gilter on the back of Enzo Dellini coming through the chicane, and it looks like Evan Gilter might have found this place going his way. The Red Bull Junior, Enzo Dellini dropping back to 9th as Gilter now takes his place. Of course, reigning F4, French F4 champion. Also on hallowed ground, as far as he's concerned, much like Alessandro Giusti, who leads this race, and this could be huge for ART alike. Of course, haven't actually celebrated a race win since Evan Gilter back at Hockenheimring in race 2, but take a look at this. Oh, wow, okay. A spin there for the number 16 G4 car, by the looks of things. That's never ideal whatsoever. It's going to leave them hunting for a recovery drive. But moments occurring in the wet. And, can happen quite often, especially in conditions such as these. That was Roman Andriolo for G4 Racing, of course, who competed in French F4. Would have actually met both Giusti and Gilter during the course of his time in French F4, competed in 2022 and 2023. So now we watch GSD wrangle his way through. Now Ugo Chukwu is caught up to Kamara here, and look at this as well, a huge dogfight ensuing once again with Delaney, Dominguez and also Gilter once more, and Dominguez answering back against Delaney, who made the moves earlier on to get past both of these drivers. Now sees himself dropping behind them once more, as now he slips through again, just getting a little slippery under these conditions, the wet weather causing the aquaplaning that is making life a little tricky for some of the drivers out there. Dominguez feeling it, Teofil Nile also feeling it too. There's Zachary David, James Wharton, very wide from Teofil Nile as he rejoins the circuit. But a massive moment, and might yet fall into the palm of James Wharton as well, looking to break into the top 10. Of course, David currently sat in P10 itself. Kamara losing sight of GSD further up. Again, the gap extends to 2.3, and the gap between he and Ugo Chukwu down to 0.4 of a second. So a big chance for Ugo Chukwu to clamber back after losing out to Kamara when they went wheel to wheel heading through the Hungaroring circuit. And it looks like Ugo Chukwu might be fancying his chances, swarming all over the back of the sister Prema. They may be teammates as far as the championship's concerned, but on track, Ugo Chukwu wants to win. And he wants to advance his charge. He wants to score as many points as he can. As they now swoop through Bousset. And it looks like Ugo Chukwu might have got Kamara. He has done. Ugo Chukwu now up into second. Kamara down to third. And Kanato Lay now automatically looks like the danger here for another podium. Well, for a podium place. He sat in third not too long ago until Ugo Chukwu came into the fold. Noah Stromstead also part of this fight. And we have Nikhil Bora trying to hold on to his place, as well as Kanato Lay goes up the inside of Rafael Kamara. Kamara down to fourth, and now he could be down to fifth, because here comes Noah Stromstead. Has Kamara got an issue? He seems to be falling down the field. He's got the slipstream, though, however, on Kanato Lay, so might be able to challenge back, but Kanato Lay really covering off the approach into turn one, and Noah Stromstead taking full advantage of this. Moves up into fourth. Fastest lap for Alessandro GSD alike, a 2:20.875, continuing his rampant run. He actually went purple in the third sector as here comes Stromstead. RPM VG4, and RPM prevails. Gets a nose in front here, Stromstead. Can he carry it through towards turn 5 and 6? Yes, he can. But back comes Kanato Lay, very close to contact as they come through turn 6. Now they've got turn 7 to come, but Ugo Chukwu now given the opportunity to run clear, and Kamara must be wondering what could have possibly happened. He had a really controlled lead up at the top before the safety car ventured out, and now sees himself down in fifth. 6/10 away now from Kanato Lay, who is giving chase after Stromstead after Noah Stromstead relinquished him of P3. Phenomenal race so far. Just goes to show what tricky, slick conditions can do to a race. And here for Giusti, he's taking full advantage of it. Likewise, Ugo Chukwu, who is on course for his best finish in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine if he finishes second. Like I said, the best result prior to this was third, as now we look at the 96 now. If I'm not mistaken, that's Jaroslav Vasalaho looking to rejoin the track. Having a little moment. As we now watch this battle between Stromstead and Lay carry onwards. 5/10 between them. We're down to 0 now in terms of the time. But this is the moment where Jaroslav Vasalaho, I think, might have got caught, and yes, it was. And just losing the car from the rear is now Ugo Chukwu makes his way around the final corner. They will begin the next lap of Askin now. Final lap begins, and it's Alessandro GSD, calm, cool and collected, up at the front with a 3.1 second advantage. Last lap was a 2:20.873, but it's no longer the fastest lap for GSD because it's gone the way of Ugo Chukwu. The McLaren Academy driver bringing his best, saving it till last. Evan Gilter has just stolen the fastest lap away from Ugo Chukwu himself. So that's a 2:20.070. That has now been added to the timing screen by Evan Gilter. Stunning stuff, sterling stuff from him. Has to be said. Rafael Kamara limping away, and just look at this, Gilter is actually closing to the back of him as well. 0.3 of a second now is all that separates them. Well, Gilter, a winner already this season, back at Hockenheim in race 2, bidding to take down the 7-time career podium winner, and now he's going to run side by side with Kamara's Prema. It's ART. We've got one in scarlet red, one in maroon, and it looks like the one in maroon's going to take this one, but runs off wide, coming through the chicane at the middle of the Mistral. The big question is, will he be forced to give that one back? The incident involving Jaroslav Vasalaho is being investigated after the race as well, but it has to be said, a tremendous performance on hand for Alessandro Giusti. It's been a struggle through the course of this campaign, hasn't quite lit up the form like he did last season. Let's take a look at the moments again. But credit where credit's due to Giusti. We've got to pan our eyes upon him. 3.3 seconds clear now of Ugo Ukachukwu at the top of the timing screen. The French F4 champion from 2022 is back at the circuit where it all started for him in Frecker in terms of race wins, and he will round the final corner at Pont. The Frenchman at a French circuit will celebrate here once more. It's Alessandro Giusti. The Williams Academy driver scores an impressive victory here in the wet conditions at Paul Ricard. Will no doubt celebrate with the ART team. Kamara losing another place, this time to Enzo Dellini, and Dellini gets him at the line for 6th place. Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary, and there'll be some solace taken from Tuka Tappinen that Kamara wasn't able to maximise the points, but Kamara will take, should 7th be the final order, 6 points will go to his standing, but Alessandro Giusti is the man of the moment. An incredible performance by the young man representing ART, has managed to successfully cultivate an important win here. Single-seaters in French F4 began in 2021, eventually becoming its champion in 2022. Today, he's a race winner once again in 2024. Alessandro Giusti, your race winner here at race 2 at Paul Ricard. Ugo Ukachukwu with 2nd place, his best performance of the season. Noah Stromstead in 3rd. Kanato Lay in 4th, a great performance from him. Evan Gilter closed out his race mightily well in 5th. Enzo Dellini 6th. Rafael Kamara 7th. Zachary David in 8th. Nikhil Bora in 9th. Ivan Dominguez in 10th. James Wharton in 11th. Giovanni Maschio finishing in 12th. Valerio Rinicella 13th. Dorian Pan in 14th place. Teofil Nile in 15th place. We then have Matteo De Palo 16th, Nicola Corte in 17th, Ruiki Liu in 18th, with Pedro Clero in 19th, Edgar Pierre 20th, further down Marta Garcia, Ryan Dames in 21st, Huang Dat Sauer in 22nd, Lina Bula 23rd, Enzo Peugeot 24th, Alvaro Cho in 25th, Yuji Gao 26th, Roman Andriolo in 27th, Isaac Barashi in 28th, Jaroslav Vasalaho 29th, and we lost Michael Belov very early on, which was quite the shock. Brando Bador we lost as well, Nanda Vidbir and Bhakti, and Tuka Tappinen, some big players out very early into the course of the race, and in the latter points too. But excellent display on parts. We've got to hail Alessandro Giusti, and credit to Evan Gilter as well, and Enzo Dellini, both getting Kamara right at the very end, and there must have been some problem that Kamara was facing out there on track to lose so many positions in a short space of time, whether the tyres were feeling the pinch or whether there was a procedure issue on part of Kamara, but nevertheless, not an ideal finish. Would have much preferred, I'd imagine, to bring home maximum points coupled with yesterday's performance, but it's not always to be. But definitely opportunities coming up in the near future, with a big weekend coming up for Prema Racing with Imola, a home race. They've got 2 home races to come when Monza also arrives at the end of the season. But ART will be absolutely thrilled with this one. Alessandro Giusti back home once again, and the response is clear. Success has arrived at ART, and it's an emotional return for Alessandro Giusti, who I'm sure is going to respond in kind when he hops out of the cockpit. He'll stand tall on the chassis and celebrate victory. Alessandro Giusti is a race winner once more. Taken a while as his third podium of the season, back-to-back third places at Zandvoort, but there's nothing quite like a home win. You have every right to celebrate Alessandro. Fabulous performance in what can only be described as dire conditions, and this man's going to be feeling, I think, quite happy to close out the weekend with his best podium performance of the season. Some solace taken as he gets to understand the car and the championship a little more. Ugo Gachukwu, I'm sure, will come into his own as the season carries on, but all smiles on the face of the Williams Academy driver. ART have a fond history of developing grand talents, and we see many of them carry through into the Formula One feeder system and rising through the realms in FIA F3 and FIA F2. Great performance as well for Noah Stromstead, who equally has had a tricky season. Hasn't quite managed to show off what he did back at Spa, but we take a look at the highlights from the race here. Race 2 here at Paul Ricard. Different start because we were under the safety car, but Kamara got a lovely jump. Unfortunately for Michael Belov, he got hoovered up very early on, took a tap and fancied to go up the inside, as well as Ivan Dominguez further down, who was getting himself into the mix, as well as Brando Bador, who had a very busy start and eventually got caught as well after coming wheel to wheel with Tucker Tappert and spinning coming through turns 5 and turn 6. And the Van Amersfoort driver, unfortunately, would not feature at the front again. Losing out that podium record. A collision, though, with Tappert, of course, contender for the championship, meeting Enzo Peugeot coming through the final corner. We then got back underway after the safety car came out, and Kamara did not get the best of getaways. It allowed Alessandro Giusti to challenge heading in towards the final rounds of the race. His teammate equally would also challenge him. Evan Gilter, of course, after winning back at Hockenheimring, looking to find his best form. But this man, Alessandro Giusti, rose above the rest. He was cruising right through in the final stint of the race, finally crossing the line for a first victory of the season. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what it means to win your home race in this series. Alessandro Giusti has got a good taste of it now. Did it last season. He's just done it again with Ugo Gachukwu. Also, I'm sure, will be standing tall on the podium. Quite rightly deserved as well, with Noah Stromstead finishing third. We will, of course, witness them take to the podium. And fastest lap actually went the way of Noah Stromstead at the very end of the race, I believe, looking at it on screen, a 2:19.834, or it might be an 8:54, I believe, looking on the screen. But fantastic for Noah Stromstead, and the winning rookie as well, which is absolutely fantastic on his part for RPM, and I'm sure that Keith Donegan is delighted with that result. Of course, we hark back to that stunning performance from Stromstead back at Spa, where he went wheel to wheel with Rafael Kamara. And it just seems like there's lots of talent there waiting in the wings as far as Stromstead is concerned, coming in through the ranks at Danish F4 territory, and coming into this series and underlining himself as a potential future talent. His father, a keen racer as well, has actually been racing in GT3s this weekend as Morten Stromstead. He's not the only one either, because Nico Lecorte, he also, of course, racing in this series is the Alpine Academy driver. His father, Roberto, also racing in GT3 racing this weekend alike here at Paul Ricard. But this time Stromstead gets to celebrate. Winning rookie and third place in the overall classification as we patiently await the drivers to head out onto the podium. Inspiring signs there from Evan Gilterra as well. As a whole, it's a really decent finish to the weekend for the ART team. Of course, ever important to claim a race win, and as I said, it's their first one since Hockenheim in race 2 that Evan Gilterra brought to the table. But even Evan Gilterra himself, you know, he's come close. That's his fifth place finish of the campaign, and aside from the race win at Hockenheim, 5th has been his best finishing position. He achieved it both at Zandvoort and Hungaroring in race 1. Again, could be a force to be reckoned with in the near future. Of course, Enzo Dellini had a busy race alongside him as well. Came wheel to wheel with Ugo Gachukwu very early on too, and just Ugo Gachukwu dealt with his race in magnificent style. Noah Stromstead standing tall on the 3rd spot on the podium for RPM. More to come, I think, from this young man, I would say. So sit tight. 2nd place on the podium will be Ugo Gachukwu, McLaren Academy driver, Euro 4, reigning Euro 4 champion. But on the top step, it's a welcome return. Welcome return for Alessandro Giusti, the ART team members and their support, ringing out the cheers for the 2022 French F4 champion. And what a magnificent performance here at a home race weekend for the home hero. Let's see what this result can do and stir in the team ART. Will there be more from Evan Gilterra as well to correspond with it? And then we have ART's team representative standing tall on the podium as part of the winning team here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. And the trophies being presented as well to the winning drivers. 3rd place, Noah Stromstead. Pirelli representative as well. Obviously important partners for this championship, presenting to Ugo Gachukwu for the 2nd place finish. And to the winning driver, Alessandro Giusti, lifts it aloft with an almighty roar, as do the ART team. And they will celebrate with their very own trophy alike. Quite a passionate one, I'm sure. Hasn't happened very often in recent times. And the winning rookie trophy going to Noah Stromstead. Couple that with his 3rd overall as well. Terrific achievement. They have the French national anthem ringing out. Well, certainly we've heard that time and time again in the past. Formula 2 champion Teo Pourchaire, also part of ART, would go on to become a champion in his own right. And now, could we see the same for Alessandro Giusti in the future, posing for a group photograph here at this stage? A wonderful achievement for the teams. But folks, that is all from all of us here at Paul Ricard here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. We'll see you next time at Imola. We'll see you then. Goodbye.